This is Terance Mathis, former NFL player of 13 years. Now, the new head coach at Morehouse College, the Morehouse College. This is the NFL Players Second Acts podcast. You might want to check it out. It's a good one.
What's up, everybody? What's going on? I'm Peanut Tillman, and this is the NFL Players Second Acts podcast. And this is my guy, Roman Harper, my co-host, my Tris number 2, my Batman, my Robin.
No, I'm definitely Batman. You're definitely right. But thanks to all of our viewers and listeners out there, wherever you're at. And
I hate this
to
guy.
iHeartRadio specifically for letting us have this West Midtown facility right here in the NFL Players Second Acts background in the iHeartRadio studio.
That was a great intro. Let's get to our guests. This gentleman was a 6th-round pick in the 1990 draft, played 13 seasons in the NFL as a receiver.
On the hard turf.
Yes, Pro Bowler.
Concrete.
He's an All-Pro. And 1994 is a member of the 2023 College Football Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And he's the head coach at the Morehouse College. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast, Terance Mathis. That's a hell of a title, head coach of Morehouse. I like that. That's nice.
Hey, man, that's a big brand.
Yes, it is.
Morehouse is probably the biggest brand in HBCU realm.
It's bigger than Howard?
Howard
It's
has,
bigger than Howard?
Howard has the luxury to be number 2 behind Morehouse.
Luxury of being number 2. Okay. I know a guy who went there. I might have to.
I met a guy.
Snap.
I met a guy that went there.
Okay.
So I had to throw that jab.
You had to throw it in there? I appreciate you doing
that.
That
was not a jab. That was not a jab.
That was uppercut?
That was clearly a right hook. Right.
That was a Tyson right hook.
Yeah. That was not a jab. I want to know this, though. Talking about Morehouse, what was it like to have ESPN's First Take with Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. come to you guys' campus, to you guys' game versus Clark Atlanta? Well,
I think when I first got hired, I got the assignment. The president said to me, he says, Morehouse is a brand everybody knows academically around the country and around the globe, and all the distinguished men that's come out of Morehouse whatsoever. And he says, what can you do to help the Morehouse College football brand? And I said, well, I know some people who know some people. So this year we played on TV 6 times. And then, like you said, First Take came out, and it was something new for the college and the campuses between CAU and everyone, and everybody ate it up. And it was just something that Morehouse haven't witnessed before. And it'll be more to come. But I think it gave the country an ideal of the energy that Morehouse College has, HBCU has whatsoever. And it's really, really good football. And if you get a chance to even watch a game whatsoever or come see a game, it's really, really good football.
You know what the crazy thing to me is just hearing you talk about that, because when you think of HBCU football or just sports really, but specifically football here in the state of Georgia or right around this area, Clark Atlanta, I'm sorry, but I always go back to Drumline.
Right.
Like that was such an influential
The halftime show.
And the halftime show. And it's about everything else, the tailgate. That's where the mind goes naturally. And you're like, yeah, but the ball.
Well, here's the thing. It's all about homecoming.
It really
HBCU.
Yeah.
What games matter in HBCU?
The bands.
The bands. It's all about the bands.
The tailgates. That's what it is, and sometimes we make a joke. The only reason we have a football team is for tailgate, homecoming, and playing Clark Atlanta.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're trying to change that narrative. We're trying to change the atmosphere and become a prominent football program in the HBCU realm of things. So you got to see it. We had against Clark Atlanta, we had a sellout. Well, they stopped letting people in. That's never happened before at a Morehouse College football game. So like you said, that's progress. And I love where I am. I love what I'm doing, man. And the vision is, and the future is bright for us.
Yeah. So let's talk about the season. How'd you all end up doing this season?
I said the vision was and the future was bright. No, we ended up 1-9.
Okay.
That's 3 years in a row that the college has been 1-9. I'm finishing up my 9th month on the job. Mm-hmm. Came in with feet running, I was behind on recruiting.
Yeah.
We were doing, but we put it together. We laid the foundation so far. The 24 class that we recruited is going to be really good.
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 of them play quite a bit this year.
Yeah. So what do you think one of the biggest challenges? I'm sure there are a few, but if you could just pick one, what do you think one of the biggest challenges is that you're facing to get Morehouse to where they need to be?
I think the student athlete.
Okay.
The student athlete recruiting is the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
But I have a 4 term to recruit now. I didn't last February. I would just, but here's the thing. I tell them, I say, I don't care if you a 5-star or whatever, All-American, I'm going to recruit you. All they can do is say no.
That's true.
Right? So, but if that 1 or 2 guys say, hey, I'm going to take a chance, it turns the program around instantly. It gives us instant credibility whatsoever. And then what you have to do, we put, a great staff around them that have been there, done that, great teachers, great motivators whatsoever, and that's can change the mindset of the student athlete. The term we use now, we don't want any more players that happen to play football. We want football players.
Yeah.
It's the culture has to change where, of course, we're in academic school and we're academic school and that's fine. We have young men out there that are 3.5s or 4.0s that are really good football players, but they're Power 5 type or Power 4 type kids. But there's the high school athlete right now are the ones that are getting the injustice because of the portal and whatsoever. And then the junior college kids are the ones sitting out there waiting. So we got a pool of kids or young men that we're going after that we know can give us immediate success.
Right. And
they're receptive to what I'm saying because I always tell myself I got the answers to all the questions.
Well, I think it's beautiful. And, with the chances here, and I just think you're just so correct when you're like, it only takes the one recruit that changes the narrative for the whole thing. You look at like a player like Travis Hunter, who comes from this area right here, and him deciding to go to Jackson State to go follow Dion changed everything. And now all of a sudden, you can do that. And matter of fact, I can go there and be successful as well. And so for the proof is in the pudding type deal, players got to see it more than just words. And Morehouse being an academic school does make it a little bit more challenging for you. But you don't seem like you're running from anything. And so with that being said, how much running did you feel like you needed to do after you got your first win as a coach versus Kentucky State?
And the way we won it was beautiful. In the last seconds of the game, we were up, then we were behind. And it was amazing how we marched down 80 yards to win that football game. And, I thought right then was going to be the turning point of our season, not knowing that after that game, my starting all-star, superstar wide receiver was going to be out for the next 3 weeks, not knowing, my slot receiver was going to have a concussion and be out, not knowing that we were going to lose an offensive lineman whatsoever. And then everything just started and you're scratching your head trying to figure it out. But the beauty of it all is they kept showing up every week. And then that's when you're doing something right. When they keep showing up to meetings and workouts, to practice, and they keep trying. They don't go into games. They didn't go into one game thinking they were going to lose a football game. And as we know, in football, there's 2 or 3 plays a game that determines the outcome. I don't care what the score is. It's 2 or 3 plays in the game.
5 at the max.
Yeah, 5 at the max. We played Clark Atlanta last game of the year. We had a block punt for a touchdown, a punt return for a touchdown, right? And then we threw an interception going in late in the game. That's 3 plays. You take the 2 off and you count that one, the touchdown and the interception in the end zone, we win the football game. 3 plays. 3 plays determine the outcome of that football game.
So I think we're all from the old school as far as recruiting goes, right? I think you're at a disadvantage in the sense of this whole new NIL situation, right? How competitive is it or how difficult is it when you're trying to recruit a kid and they want the NIL deal?
It's funny. I had that situation happen. And a young man kept pressing me about this and, hey, you got sponsorships. Is there any NIL money? Blah, 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 blah. And he kept going on and on. I says, hey, man, I said, if you're choosing to come to my college for an NIL deal, I'm the wrong coach to play for. I am the absolutely wrong coach to play for. You have to prove to me that that you deserve this before I give it to you. Okay, yeah, I brought you in because I think you can play. But at the end of the day, if that's what you're playing for, I think that's not going to serve us it ain't going to serve us any purpose at all. Are we going to eventually get NIL deals? Probably so. But at the moment, right now, we've been talking about it. We're working on it, but we don't have one in place right now.
Number one, I think NIL is fine. The transfer portal is the real thing. When you handle that part, I think the NIL will set itself.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually. But we're too far away.
We're
right?
too far away.
It's just not there right now. The biggest knock on NIL, in my opinion, and Coach, you could attest to this or not, is that it has made everything transactional.
Yeah.
And that is not what college football is supposed to be, especially at the early stages of it. It's supposed to be, how can I go there and become a better holistic?
Be transformal.
Yes. Transformal person, not a transactional. And so that is what this thing has turned into, and it's really muddied the waters for a lot of people. And so the hot button word is NIL, but I think the transfer portal is the same thing. You seem to be agreeing with me.
I agree with you. If you fix the transfer portal, everything's fine.
Agree.
At the end of the day, if you just do it the correct way, where even if a guy goes in the transfer portal, like for instance, if I have a young man that says, Coach, I think I want to go in the transfer portal whatsoever, first thing I say to him, give me the schools you want to go to. Go in there with a plan. And I said, give yourself a deadline. And I'm going to give you a deadline to if it's not working out for you, I'll let you come back. But you got to give yourself a deadline. But the ego and the pride sets in and says, you know what, I'm going to stick in here. Now you're in there for 2 or 3 years whatsoever. Now you're not getting your education because mama and daddy can't pay for school. So now you working a job, working out, thinking you're going to get picked up after being out of school for 2 years whatsoever. And guess who the ones that are struggling by it? It's us, Black men, Black students. Now you got a bunch of Black students out there without an education because they were looking for greener pastures and it never happened. And that's the ugliness of the transfer portal. It bothers the mess out of me because you was on the right track to graduate, get your degree, all that. But then you looked at money, and fame, and said, I want to do something different. I want to be bigger than life whatsoever. I want to play on TV. I want to play in bowl games. And it never happened for you. Now you're working and yeah, you might pay for college. Mostly not. So now you're working on getting your AA. I'm not saying nothing's wrong with getting your AA from community college or junior college, but your future was bright if you'd have just stuck with it.
Yeah.
Just stick with it. It's going to be okay.
Coach, tell me this. How much of your playing days has influenced your coaching philosophy? Now, for those that don't know your playing days, all right, the dude was a flat out baller, okay? All-American at New Mexico. 1989, he was also the first All-American player in New Mexico's history. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. And then you also were the first player in college football to have 250 receptions, 4,000 receiving yards, and over 6,000 yards in total yards.
Yeah.
First person.
Yes.
There
Ever in college history.
Ever. College history. This guy right here.
Put some respect on
I
it.
just want to say that. Like, when I saw that, I was like, I had to get that in somewhere.
Yeah.
Because that is a special just stat line. Ain't nobody else did that. Well, maybe somebody now, but you were the first.
Right.
And so how does doing all that, it contribute to your coaching philosophy right now?
Well, people don't understand the reason that happened is because I played with a chip on my shoulder. I was too small. You wasn't getting recruited by the big schools whatsoever.
Was at New Mexico,
yeah, I was the last one. I signed the last scholarship they had whatsoever in June of that year. And I leave Georgia to go all the way to New Mexico to play football. And I had something to prove to everybody, especially here in the Southeast, that I can play football at a high level. And then as you go on whatsoever, it's draft time. They say you're not fast enough. You're not big enough. I get drafted in the 6th round. And after becoming a free agent, people were like, oh, he's not an every down receiver whatsoever. Then I come back home to Atlanta and break franchise records my first year here. And like you said, go to the Pro Bowl and All Pro and all these things. So I think overcoming adversity and being told you can't, and the work ethic and never giving up, because every game we've that I've coached in this year, you'll see me coach until the last 0 on the clock. I don't care what the score is. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's finish. We had a game where it was 12 seconds left in the game. And I heard the coaches say, hey, let's just get out of here whatsoever. And we had an injury timeout. And the quarterback came to me and I gave him a play. If I'd have just said, kneel down, I'm being a hypocrite. I've been telling them, hey, man, we're going to play to the last whistle. Coach, you said we was going to play to the last whistle. They remember little things like that. So you got to always be about what you say.
So I know you had mentioned you would have left coaching if you wouldn't have got the Morehouse job. Why was that?
I was doing it looking forward for 12 years. Head coaching job at the collegiate level. I thought I was ready. Obviously, I wasn't because I wasn't getting the opportunities to do it. And I didn't want to go to the NFL and be a long time journey sideline wide receiver coach. I didn't think I had an upward trajectory of going to the NFL. So the story is we were watching the AFC NFC championship game that night, me and my wife. And let's go back the day before my children was over and we was having a good time. And, my kids, my older kids, we over. For the 4 of us, we together. I'm loving it, this and that. And I'm going, oh, I like this. And I set up and I was about to tell my wife, I said, if I don't get a job in this next coaching cycle, I'm done. I set up and couldn't talk. And I sat back and I couldn't speak for 3 minutes. I don't know why that was. I think it was, pretty much God said, shut up, be quiet. So the next night we're watching the games whatsoever. And I sit up on the edge of the couch and I'm shaking my head. And my wife said, what's wrong? I said, baby, I don't want to go back to high school coaching. I don't want to be an NFL sideline coach. I want my own gig. She said, it's going to come. She said, the first will be last and the last will be first. She says, remember that. So that night I went to the room, got on my knees, and I just threw my hands up with tears in my eyes. I said, Lord, wherever you send me, I go and honor your name every day. That next morning, I sit on the couch, I open up my phone, and there's a text message from the AD at Morehouse College. And he says, hey, can we meet? I said, what, is this another Zoom meeting for an interview? He says, no, I need to meet you off campus so we can have a conversation. So I met him. He says, look, we're going to offer you to be the head football coach at Morehouse College. And I was like, oh, cool. And
I'm trying to play it cool.
Yeah, I'm trying. Well, here's, I know long enough, a deal ain't done until you sign the contract.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
A handshake don't mean anything anymore.
Nah.
So we left the restaurant. I called the wife and she was like, I said, baby, don't get excited until we sign. This was a Tuesday, until we signed the contract. So he calls me later and said, you're going to meet with the president whatsoever. This, you're not going to believe this. So we get there, I get there and I'm talking to him and we're talking about it. He gives me the contract. So in the first paragraph, there's my salary, right? He says, look it over, make sure everything is right. In the last paragraph, there's another salary that's more than the one up top. I said, there's a discrepancy here. I said, we can just cross this out and we'll put our initials and whatever you offer me, we'll stay with. He comes over, we look at it. He says, no, we'll cross out the least and we go with the one at the bottom. Remember now. The first will be last, the last will be first. So it moves up, right? So then we look at the whole process and I'm sitting at home and I'm talking to my wife about this thing and I'm going through it from Power 5, FBS, FCS to Division II football. Morehouse was the last job on the circuit that was available. Then to take a job where a team was last in the conference was 1-9. The first would be last, the last would be first. And I'm holding on to that. We didn't finish last. We were probably number 11th in the conference this year, even with our 1-9 record. So it's going to happen. And that's how I got the job. And that's why I know my assignment. And even through all the naysayers and this and that and this, you hear it. You're not a HBCU guy. You're not a Morehouse guy. We do this way, blah, 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 blah. I'm not here to change your culture. I'm here to change the atmosphere. That's why I'm here. You can have your culture, but we're going to change the atmosphere over here. We're going to do things different over here, uncommon things over here to be great. I says, now, it may look, I may have disturbed the ordinary, which made you mad, but give it the process time to work. And I said, you got to give it time to work. I got a full winter and spring to make this thing work. So when we come back in August for training camp, we're gonna enjoy the fruits of our labor. September when we kick it off. But you can't look at it. You can't say, 1-9 again, but you can't talk about my record until you talk about scholarships and facilities.
That all matters.
We don't give full scholarships and we don't have the best facilities. Now, if you've given me everything I needed to be successful, now we can have a decent conversations of why are you 1-9?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So do you ever regret not taking a coaching job back in the day with Dan Reeves and Bill Cowher?
Y'all know those things out there too.
So I was just wondering.
Oh my God! Y'all did y'all homework.
Shout out Thomas.
Because if you didn't quote, I was going to quote it because I read an article. You said you told your wife you was going to throw in the towel of the coaching business if you didn't get that job. So you explained that. So you explained this one. So
yeah, in hindsight, you should have listened. You knucklehead. You should have listened. My exit meeting after year 12 with the Falcons and Dan Reeves, I walk in the office and I said, Coach, I know my salary cap numbers are high. Here's the plan. I give him the whole plan. He says, he sit back. He says, well, I was thinking, for your future, you join me and be my receiver coach. I said, no, Coach, I want to play some more. He said, you'll be a great coach. You've been doing it already as a player coach. The kids, the young men respect you. The players respect you whatsoever. It'll be an easy transit. I said, no, I want to. So then I says, well, if you're going to release me early so I can get picked up. So he did. So signed with the Steelers and I went through all that. So everybody said the reason why they signed me is to make sure to take care of Plexico first. I wasn't his babysitter. I was his big brother during that time. So then after my exit meeting there, Bill Cowher, before I even said a word, he says, Terence, what's your future plans? I'm thinking I want to play another year. I want to play some more football. I says, why you ask? He said, I think you'll be a great addition to our staff. I said, Coach, I think I want to play another year. That another year never came. And I was like, dude, you right there. You was on the fast track of being a head football coach at the highest level. But you wanted to play more football.
And that pension and that healthcare good too, boy.
Yeah.
NFL, boy. I forget how it was when you just go to the doctor.
Yep.
You just walk out.
Yep. You don't have to sign no papers or nothing. Your card is on file. It says, see you next time, Mr. Mathis. I'm like, oh, Lord. I don't know, copay, no nothing.
Nothing.
The good old days.
Man, that was the good old days.
Oh, yeah. Now the wife calls and said, does our insurance cover everything?
Yeah.
Does he have to pay anything? Oh, he's good. I'm like, oh, thank you.
I know, man. I think that's timing is everything. And I know how much you meant because we spoke to Reggie Kelly and he bragged about you immediately, talking about the vet that you were,
the leadership
qualities that you talked about, showing him all these other things. And then you going out there and being the first 100 catches for the Atlanta Falcons and just doing all these things and just, what it was like to be a pro.
Right.
You were the first real example that he saw. And so I don't know if he was able to give you those flowers, but I want to give them to you now. So it was noticed, and it wasn't just other coaches recognizing that the players around you did too. So just know that, and you've always been watched.
Yeah, it's huge. My thing is I can be a vocal person when I want to, but I want to show you. I'm a demonstrator, visual. More I have to communicate more being a head football coach, but also I have to show them as well. With Reggie, our first conversation was details, brother. It's the little things.
He mentioned that.
It's the details. I says, you got to understand, a lot of guys can go out there and run fast and lift weights and this and that, but can he stop? Can he do this? It's the details. I would go to practice and we'll have one-on-ones, those one-on-one periods. And I tell the quarterback every time I come up, I'm running the same route. So don't ask me what I'm running. I'm running all slants today. No matter what that defense did, that one-on-one coverage, bump off, whatever he did, inside, outside, I was running a slant. And then the next day I do, that's why you do that. I said, I'm working on my craft. I said, if I don't see it 5 different ways, I won't know how to beat it on Sunday. Think about that. Because next time the guy might have you bump inside, outside, he may bail, he may, whatever he may do. So now when I'm playing the game, oh, I've seen this because I've seen it in practice. So I was really detailed in route running. It was always, how can I beat you? If I was playing against him, I would dissect him right away. Okay, 3 weeks ago, he limped off the field and they worked on his hip. Let me see what he's doing on that hip. So now I'm going to the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach and saying, hey, he can't open up as fast as this way. This is what route we need to run against him today. That's how detailed I was. And when I had deep in routes whatsoever, I looked at the safeties and I would say, okay, this safety, he's going to come and he's not going to stop his feet. So he's going to run into me. This safety, he's going to gather his feet and tackle. So when I run a deep in route against that safety that I know once knocked my helmet off, when I catch it, I'm planting my feet right now, take the blow and keep going. The other one that's going to technically sound when it wrap up, I'm going to catch it and keep going because he's going to miss. He's not ready to tackle. And I'm just going to run through that arm tackle. So I was that detailed in everything that I did.
Yeah. So I think that 94 season, you were extremely detailed. It was probably the first time in NFL history. Well, at the time, it was the first time in NFL history that 3 receivers had 100 plus receptions. It was, do you know who they are?
Jerry Rice and Cris Carter.
Yes, sir. Jerry Rice had 112. You were 111, and Cris Carter had 122.
And that broke the thing because, the big story was Cris Carter only caught touchdowns.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you about that day. That was a funny day because we all was right there at the same numbers going into the last week. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to 111, I got hurt. I had an AC joint sprain and I couldn't play the second half of the game. And I'm trying, coach, I'm okay. I want to get this record. The record was 112 at the time. I was like, I want to get the record. So, 49ers played, I think the 49ers played that afternoon. We played the first game, and I think they played the 3:30, 4 o'clock game, and then the Vikings played the night game. So Cris knew exactly what I did. He knew exactly what he needed. They fed him.
And the team did too.
Oh, they fed him like he was a fat cat that night. I think they might have threw the ball 30-something times, and probably 25 of them went to him. They made sure they fed him that night. So, but it was a beautiful weekend.
That's good.
What is your fondest memory of playing in the Super Bowl XXXIII as as part of the Dirty Bird?
2 things. We're sitting in the tunnel, and they have the canopy that goes out to the end zone whatsoever, so you can't see anybody. So you're standing there, and you're hearing everybody get their names called, and then it was your turn. And they said, at wide receiver from the University of New Mexico, number 81, Terence. And you hear, you don't hear nothing else. And you jogging out. And then when you come from up under that canopy and it was flickers everywhere. And I turned around and I'm going backwards and I see myself on the big screen. And I said, this is what I dreamed about ever since I was 9 years old. Playing football in the yard saying, oh, Terance Mathis winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. It was phenomenal. And then not only that was the beginning, the last touchdown of the Super Bowl, I scored.
7 catches, 85 yards.
I scored and I was like, come on, man. And it's the Super Bowl, bro.
Yeah.
The only game on television that day, millions of people watching the game. And you're playing in that game. Ain't nothing like it. Ain't nothing like it, man. Ain't nothing like it.
I'm curious which, for your career, throughout your career, what's been your greatest accomplishment? So you were the man of the year for the Falcons in 98. You had a 100-catch season when it was extremely rare. You got into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2023. You set a college receiving record at New Mexico.
Multiple.
Yeah, and you bought out in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
What's been your greatest accomplishment?
Ooh. I promised myself when I walked through them doors, y'all was going to ask me tough questions. And I knew I said, hey, Terence, you're not going to be emotional today. You're not going to be emotional today. Two of my greatest accomplishments is not even about football. When I left New Mexico, I had another semester of school to go. And I promised my mom I would get my degree. And I eventually got my degree, but she didn't see it. She passed away before I got it. My second accomplishment is my wife. She knows by me telling her, but a lot of people don't know she probably saved my life because I was spinning out there, out of control. And when she came into my life at a time where I could have went either way. And she stabilized me and she helped me to get through some of the things that I was dealing with, from finance to whatever I was going through, the demons that I was fighting every day. And here we are 27 years later. Oh my God, that queen is something special. Whenever I'm doing this, pulls me up. Whenever I stumble, she comes running, standing there. You won't even know if I'm weak because she's always by me, holding me up. When my head goes down because I'm hurting, she puts her arm around me and pushes my chin up. She makes sure I'm never look defeated, ever look defeated. She never let people see me at my worst. When I'm hurting, she never let people do that. She, come on, baby. It's okay. After games, come on, baby. It's okay. Come on. You fine. Even when I was playing, I come out that locker room in the family room. She was right there. Okay. She look at me in the face. You good? You good? That's been my two greatest accomplishments.
Love that.
I do. Our guests, we try and ask them all who's on their personal Mount Rushmore of influence.
Of influence?
That's influencing the far as like who's made you who you are. And so who's gotten Terance Mathis to where you are right now? Who's been those four people that have been the biggest influential people in your life? Doesn't have to be just football, but in life, because it's all the same.
I got to start with mom.
Of course.
Single parent mom. Raised four of us, three sisters and myself. She was that dad in my life. How I know that? Because she used to beat me like she was a man sometimes. Oh, Lord. She always told me I can. She's always said, hey, set your goals so high. If you fall short, you'll still be among stars. She taught me all those things. She's taught me so much, and then my grandmother loved me so hard. Oh my God. She had other grandkids, but she loved me so hard. It was, I come home and, she lived in Detroit. I come to Detroit and she would cook this big old spread and wouldn't let nobody come over. To be me and my grandmother and grandfather just eating all this food. She's like, no, you can't come over because they call me Terry. This is for Terry. Ben Griffith, he was my offensive coordinator at the University of New Mexico. He recruited me out there. I was an 18-year-old, 145-pound freshman. And he told me, you're going to play on Sundays. You can play in the NFL.
No, and nobody else was telling you.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, whatever. No, you're that good. And then he started. I'm like, okay, all right. And I remember he introduced me to a scout from the Vikings. They were watching film. He was watching film. We would go in the film room and turn on the light. He said, hey, you see anybody on this film you like? And he said, yeah, I see some seniors that's pretty good, but who is this little number 15? He said, well, that's Terance Mathis. Here he is right here. So the guy turns the film off, turns around, walks up to me, shakes my hand. He says, son, you keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be playing on Sundays. That's when I took it serious. I said, okay, I can really make it. So Ben Griffin. And the fourth one would be a man that showed me how to be a professional at what I do. And that was Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott and I played together in New York. And I remember on a Sunday night, Monday night, we playing the Cowboys, and it's probably less than 2 minutes left in the game. We get a big stop. They're going to punt to us. Worst case scenario, I fair catch it in midfield. It's in Giant Stadium. It's raining and the wind is blowing. The ball went up and then it started coming and going away from me. So I tried to go get it and I muffed it. They recovered it, kneeled down 3 times. We lost. I ran off the field, went in the locker room, went in the secluded place, threw my helmet down, sat on the floor like a little infant position, and was like, God, dog it out. I can't go in that locker room. Can't go in that locker room. So I hear Ronnie Lott calling my name. Anybody see Terence? Where's Terence? Where's T-Mac? Where is he? Then what are you doing? So he grabbed me, this honest God truth, from the floor, picked me up, put me against the wall, my feet dangling. So I don't ever want to see you like this again. You don't lose a game by yourself. You don't win a game by yourself. You better than this. We're going to need you. I don't ever want to see you like this. You hear me? I say, yeah. He says, so you get in there. Them guys in there love you. So I went in there. They said, hey, man, you good. Hey, man, you good. This was my 4th year now. So I became a free agent. I took that to Atlanta, and that's why 94 happened in Atlanta. I was a professional. I didn't care what the outcome was. Get me the ball, and I'm going to make something happen. And if I didn't, it was okay. And that's how I became a professional. And that's how I, treat my players like that now. Hey, man, a loss don't define who you going to marry, how much money you going to make, how many kids you going to have. It's just a loss. Just go out there and have fun. And I tell them there's only one person on this team that get wins and losses. That's Coach Mathis. I say, they don't put by your name. Hey, Johnny Williams. Oh, by the way, you were 1-9. Hey, Terance Mathis. Oh, by the way, you were 1-9.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Mathis was 1-9. And I told them, I said, so I take that for you so you can go out and be the best that you can be. Don't worry about the record. Don't worry about making mistakes. It's okay. I've made them before. It's okay. I said, I understand this. And I always tell them, I said, I have dropped balls, punts in front of 80,000 people, and they was paying me millions of dollars, and I did it. So you shouldn't feel bad if you drop a ball, fumble a ball, miss a tackle, or anything else. There's professional men that make millions of dollars that do that. So just go out and play free to know that it's okay if you make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. And that's what we're trying to do. Hey, man, go out there and play free. It's fine. So those are my 4.
It's a good 4.
It's a great 4. Man, I appreciate that. Really just sharing the stories with us, sharing your journey. Actually just let me brag on you a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
a little bit
man.
of research we got to do for you.
Man, that's
You
awesome.
deserve your flowers.
Yeah,
that's
man.
awesome.
You deserve them.
And
That's
not only
awesome.
that, but then Reggie Kelly and other guys really just pouring and talking about you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for being you, Coach. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me on this. The thing is, for me, throughout my life, I do speaking circuits and I do this and do this. And everybody says, hey, man, you need to write a book. You need to tell your stories whatsoever. So for you to give an opportunity to just not talk about football, man, stats and games, to talk about who I am, because I think, especially at Morehouse, people need to know who he is. I said, have a conversation with me, But, outlets like this give people opportunity to go, okay, I see who he is now. He's a real dude. He's a man. He ain't no figure that, he just played professional football and he thinks that's something I did. That's not who I am.
Well, thanks, Coach, man. Appreciate it, man. As always, thanks for our viewers and listeners out there, wherever you pick up your podcast at, whether it's iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating, a review, click follow, leave a couple comments, ask some questions. We'll fill it back out. Well, at least my man Thomas will. Peanut, where are we supposed to check them out at?
NFL YouTube channel.
That's it, man. Tell a friend to do what?
Tell a friend.
There we go, man. Come check us out, man. We out here, baby. Thanks, Terence.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Hey, if you do the little things right, the big things will follow.
That sounds familiar.
That sound familiar?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
Sounds
and we gonna leave it with that. Hey, I'm Peanut, the NFL Players Second Acts podcast. That's Rome. That's Terance. Hey, check us out.